Well, hello people. Hello people from Loughcrew here in northwest County Meath, right? And I'm standing up here in a hill in Loughcrew by this 5,000-year-old megalithic tomb, older again than the pyramids of Egypt, a burial chamber here, people. And if you look at that stone there, look, see all the markings on it. You're looking at something from 5,000 years old. The markings on that, the carvings on that stone is from 5,000 years old. And that looks to me like the stone that was kind of like the doorway to that chamber in there, right? Anyway, people, I'm not over here because of this fantastic megalithic tomb, of which there is about 30 of them in this area of County Meath here, right? This is the best one here, right? I'm not over here because of that, because I have 2 videos on my channel from here, right? The view's never done well, right? But that's not the reason why I'm over here, people. I'm over here because of a famous Meath man and a famous Irish man who goes by the name of Oliver Plunkett, right? And if you are a practicing Catholic, right, you will know him at least for the past 50 years, I think, as Saint Oliver Plunkett, right? Okay, now, this video, people, is not going to be a religious video. It's not a video about Catholicism or anything like that, because personally, I'm no longer a practicing Catholic. That might shock some people, astonish some people, anger some people, right? That's fair enough, right? I'm non-religious, right? I have absolutely 100% no intentions for the rest of my life of ever going back into any form of religious belief, right? And so don't come onto my comment section, people, either berating me or trying to bring me back into the fold, right? Don't do that, because I find that patronising, right? You have as much chance, people, of... I'll put it this way, people, right? I can't stand corned beef sandwiches. In fact, people, I hate corned beef sandwiches, right? So, what I'm trying to say is, you have as much chance of trying to get me back into the fold of Jesus, the good news, and the stepping stones in the religious faith that you have to adhere to in order to enter into eternal life or the kingdom of heaven, right? You have as much chance as trying to get me to eat a goddamn corned beef sandwich, right? I hate corned beef sandwiches, right? So you might say to me then, well then what's the bloody point on then in doing a video about a man called St. Patrick, right? Well, people, if you stay tuned, I'll tell you the reason when I get back to my car. So stay tuned, my friends, right? And yeah, and another thing, people, is I'm not going to get bogged down by going down a rabbit hole of having a conversation about belief versus non-belief, or creation versus evolution, or there has to be a meaning for life versus chaos and randomness, right? I'm not going down that road, my friends, right? So stay tuned, and I'll tell you why I'm fascinated by this story of this man and his life called Oliver Plunkett when I get back to my car, people. So stay tuned, my friends. Right, people, I'm back in the car here, right, in Loughcrew. Now, The reason why I want to do this video about this man called Oliver Plunkett, who in the Catholic faith is known as Saint Oliver Plunkett, is because I just find it fascinating, right? His life story is fascinating. And the town of Drogheda is my local town, okay? And this man's head is in St. Peter's Church in the town of Drogheda, right? I was told about it when I was a young pupil in national school. And if you ever went into Drogheda, I'd say most of the people who live in Drogheda would at one time or another have seen this man's head in a glass. I'll bring us in there, people, and I'll show you, right? Yeah, in his head, his decapitated head is in St. Peter's Church, right? And the prison door that he was kept in from that time period is in that church, okay? So, yeah, so I always had a fascination for the story of Oliver Plunkett, or Saint Oliver Plunkett, right? What else was I going to say there now? Yeah, and people, you see, this November coming is a big deal here now. It will be a big deal in Drogheda here, because it's going to be the 400th anniversary of the birth of Saint Oliver Plunkett, or Oliver Plunkett, okay? And it's also going to be the 50th anniversary, I think, of his canonisation to sainthood, right? Okay. Yeah. Now, the other reason, people, why I'm making this video as well is because if you watch all my videos, you'll often hear me talking about, if you see a talent in someone, don't be afraid to tell them and praise them, right? Right? To praise them, right? So anyway, people, there's this man I know. He would be a neighbour of mine. He lived about a mile and a half from where I live in Laytown, right? He goes by the name of Fintan Tracey, right? And Fintan's granny on his dad's side lived next door to where I live, right? And she was an absolute brilliant neighbour to my mother, because we lived in poverty, 10 of us in poverty, right? She was a brilliant neighbour to my mother. So this man, Fintan, would be her son's son. I'm not making sense, am I? Anyway, a nice chap, right? Now, the reason why I'm rambling on here, people, I'm sorry about that, right? Yeah, the reason why I want to talk about this man called Fintan Tracey is because Fintan, as far as I know, he would be a practicing Catholic, right? That's fine by me, no problem in that at all, right? Hell of a nice man, right? And he now lives with his wife Marie in Bettystown in County Meath, again in a mile and a half from where I live, right? And you know something lovely about this? When he refers to his wife, he always says, "My lovely wife." I think that's a lovely phrase to say, right? And he's not just talking about physical beauty, you know what I mean? He's talking about her personality. I just think it's lovely. Right, people, the reason why I want to talk about Fintan here is because Fintan is gifted. Fintan has an amazing talent as an artist, right? And Fintan has produced this brilliant little book here, right? It's called The Captain and the Saint, the story of Oliver Plunkett, right? He told me it took him 5 years of research, right? Now, you see this front illustration here, people, right? That's Fintan's own work. And this book, people, is beautifully illustrated. I mean, look, there's fantastic illustrations, all painted by Fintan, right? All the way through it, right? Now, I don't want to spoil the story. You can buy this book, it's €10, people, in St. Peter's Church, or you can go directly to fintanfineart@gmail.com. I'll correct that and I'll put it up on the video, right? Okay, from Fintan. He is a talented man, right? Very, very talented, right? So anyway, he has it broken down in chapters, right? And it's he kept it nice and simple for everybody to read. And it's a great read, right? So I'll just hit on a few little points here, right? So let me just start off by saying, this is why I'm over here now in Loughcrew, right? And he has it written like as if it's Oliver Plunkett himself telling his own story, right? Okay, so it goes like, I was born on All Saints' Day, the 1st of November, 1625 in Loughcrew, Oldcastle in County Meath. My father, John, was the Baron of Loughcrew, and my mother was a member of an influential aristocratic family, the Earls of Roscommon, right? My father owned a considerable amount of land, 250 hectares of good land around Loughcrew. We had a townhouse, church and a corn mill, right? What to say here? Yeah, he had an older brother called Edward and 3 sisters, Catherine, Anne and Mary, right? And Catholic schools were banned by the British in Ireland. So this was, there was laws by the British called penal laws. You were in big trouble if you were a Catholic, practicing Catholic. Priests' lives were in danger just for preaching Catholicism, right? So he goes, when I was 22, arrangements were made for me and 4 other young men to go to Rome to study in the seminary of the Irish College in Rome. And I just wonder to myself, I stayed in that Irish College in Rome, right? And I'm just wondering, was it the same grounds that he would have stayed in, right? Anyway, right, so then I'm just going to skip a couple of parts, people, here, right? So anyway, on the 12th of February 1647, he left the port of Waterford, right, for Ostend in Belgium, right? So that was in February, right? And they were robbed on their way, right? And to Rome. And it took him 5 months to get to Rome. And he spent, I think it was 22 years in Rome, right? Okay. And then, people, he was ordained a priest in 1654, and he earned a doctorate in civil and canon law, and then went on to become a professor of theology and later a professor of apologetics or something in Propaganda College, Rome, right? And he held that position for 12 years, right? Yeah, people, just a bit about the penal laws here in Ireland, right? So the penal laws were Catholics could not openly practice their religion, and a priest caught saying Mass or administering the sacraments could be sent to prison or exiled. Oppressive anti-Catholic penal laws at the time. My brother Edward had his estate confiscated because of these laws. A soldier or priest hunter could get £20 for the capture of a priest, or £100 for the capture of a bishop. During this time back in Ireland, a priest had to register with the government, and if he didn't, he would be arrested and sent into exile or executed. Right? Now, it was Pope Clement IX who considered Oliver Plunkett as a candidate for appointment to a prominent position to reform the church in Ireland, right? So basically, that Pope, as far as I'm concerned, may as have well written Oliver's death warrant, right? But on his way back to Ireland, he stopped in London, right? So there's a section in the book about that, right? I've underlined there, right? And he came to London 3 years after the Great Fire of London. Did you ever read about the Great Fire of London? Wow. They done some destruction, my friends, right? And then he made his way to Holyhead, and it took 10 hours to come on a sailing ship across to Ringsend, right? And then his family and thing then. He was in disguise as Captain William, let me see now, where is it? He has it here. Captain Brown, I think it was, yeah, Captain Brown, right? Captain William Brown, okay. So he arrived back in Ireland in March 1670, right? Now, I don't want to give too much away. You need to read this book, right? And then he went up into the smallest county in Ireland, one of my favourite little counties, County Louth, to a place called Ardpatrick, right? Which is close to Louth village, not too far from Dundalk, right? And like Louth village played a big part in his life when he came back, because it was... Anyway, I'm just going to cut to the chase, people, right? He was spotted in the Knoll in County Dublin. Somebody reported him, right? And he was arrested. And there was a guy called a dickhead, right? In my terminology, right? There was a guy called Titus Otis in England. He made up a plot, basically a cock and a bull story, right, to discredit all Catholics. It was done for political reasons and spread anti-Catholic feelings. Titus Otis made up an elaborate hoax, right? The hoax was that the Pope was to invade England, involving many Catholics with a strongly Protestant parliament and an expanding Catholic monarchy, right? He knew his life was in danger, right? I wrote to Propaganda, it's a mad name, Propaganda in Rome, informing them that police, soldiers and spies go hunting day and night, and I would not be surprised if I was arrested any time soon. My friend, the Viceroy Lord Berkeley, had informed me that government agents in Dublin Castle were reading and opening my letters. He had said, "Be very careful in what you write in your letters. Avoid any references to current or political events, as this could give them a reason to arrest you. They could consider it treason or active popery," right? And look at this, people. This was, he says, I wrote to Propaganda in Rome about how troubled we are by the news that in Scotland, the Parliament has passed a law that it will be an act of high treason to say Mass. And the punishment, right, if caught, is to be disemboweled and quartered, right? Now, people, I'm not going to read much more because he was charged and brought up to Dundalk, right? And of course, all the witnesses they knew it was a crock of shit, basically speaking, right? And they wouldn't, become, they wouldn't go into a court of law, right, against him, right? So anyway, what did they do? They brought him over to London, and after spending his final months in Newgate prison, Oliver was taken to the gallows at Tyburn on July the 1st, 1681. He was hanged, drawn, quartered, and the remains burnt, and died a martyr. 105 Catholic martyrs died at Tyburn, and Oliver was the last, right? And on October the 12th, 1975, Oliver was declared a saint by Pope Paul VI in a canonisation ceremony in St. Peter's Square, Rome. Right, people, that's the gist of the story of this man, Oliver Plunkett, and his tragic, brutal and barbaric ending because of his faith, right? Very interesting, and this is a lovely little book. And people, if you just go up, I'll end the video, people. I'm going to go up to Dundalk. I'm going to go into St. Peter's Church and show you the head of St. Oliver Plunkett, right? And then I'm going to finish the video, people, over in the Barbican Centre on William Street, right? To look at an exhibition by Fintan, right? The Captain and the Saint exhibition by Fintan Tracey of 24 colour prints from the book The Captain and the Saint, the story of St. Oliver Plunkett, including one large portrait of St. Oliver Plunkett in acrylics painted in the Munich style of stained glass windows on stretched vinyl, size 2.8 by 3.8. Hanging on the post next to the Barbican's front door across from the reception desk. Right, people, so stay tuned for that. I'll show you this chap who was a neighbour of mine, right? And fair play to him. He wrote that little book to commemorate the 400th anniversary of the birth of Oliver Plunkett, right? And the 50th Golden Jubilee of his canonisation to sainthood, right? Fintan Tracey, he's a brilliant artist, people. And I might put up at the end of the video some of the paintings he done of dogs, my brother's dogs and my sister's dogs. He is a very, very talented man. So I commend Fintan for spending time to write this lovely book about this man, look. And yeah, as I said, he's a fantastic painter. Right, people, I'm going to go down the road here to Loughcrew Gardens because I think, people, this may be where Oliver Plunkett came from, right? Stay tuned, my friends. Right, people, I think this is where Oliver Plunkett was from. Look, it's saying here on the signpost, St. Oliver Plunkett's Family Church, right? So let's go in and investigate this. And of course, people, we have to get a cup of tea, don't we? Before I continue with this story about Oliver Plunkett or St. Oliver Plunkett, okay? So stay tuned, my friends. I must come over actually and do a video over here off Loughcrew. Stay tuned, my friends. Right, people. Cheers from Loughcrew here, the home place of Oliver Plunkett. I'm very impressed that I found where he lived. This is a lovely little cafe here, look. Look at the table covers, little hearts on them. You know. My vegetable soup, people, and my chicken salad toasted sandwich. Super cool, isn't it? Right, people, so this is, I can't believe this, people, I'm delighted now. Loughcrew Estate as a fairy trail with a garden here, right? So this is where Oliver Plunkett was from. Like, if you read that book, people, I suggest read that book, it's a lovely book to read. Fintan Tracey's book about the Captain and the Saint, right? It's a lovely book to read, I have to say. He does say about that his family had land and were aristocratic, right? So I'm so delighted that, you see, from reading Fintan's book about Oliver Plunkett, he kind of has brought his character alive and real to me. Do you know what I mean? So I'm here now, walking in an area that man walked in, lived in the 1600s, right? Okay? You know, born 400 years ago in November coming. People, there's information here about Oliver Plunkett here. Wow, this is fascinating, I have to say now. Oliver Plunkett was born on All Saints' Day, the 1st of November 1625, here in the Tower House at Loughcrew. Wow. In here, people. That's the Tower House. Wow. This is amazing. I wasn't expecting it. I went looking for his birthplace. I knew it was over here in Loughcrew, but I didn't think it was here. So I'm kind of chuffed, you know. This is the guy here. Look at this. Titus Otis lurid allegations of the Pope trying to overthrow King Charles II led to a frenzy of arrests and executions from 1678. Something that Father Oliver Plunkett was now drawn into, having been arrested in Dublin. He was tried before an all-Protestant jury in Dundalk and acquitted, as the miscreants paid to offer false evidence were themselves wanted men. Lord Shaftesbury decided to try Father Oliver in London, where the mood was more agreeable to the verdict he desired. During the London trial, Father Oliver was not allowed any defence, and due to the time constrictions was unable to bring character witnesses from Ireland, and after 15 minutes the jury found him guilty of treason. You shall be drawn through the city of London to Tyburn. There you shall be hanged by the neck, but cut down before you are dead. Your bowels shall be taken out and burnt before your face. Your head shall be cut off and your body be divided into 4 quarters, said the Lord Chief Justice. Oliver Plunkett was executed at Tyburn on the 1st of July 1681, the last of the 105 martyrs to die there. Now people, that's amazing now. Now all of what I've read there, people, is in that book by Fintan Tracey, right? You know, oh, I'm so glad now. I can't believe that I found, because after reading that book by Fintan, it made Oliver a real person, even though I know he was a real person, but from the way Fintan wrote that book, I can't explain to you, but I just feel that here I am now in the grounds of this man that was, you know, brutally executed. You know what I mean? My God. But they done that, people, not only to Irish people, they done it to their own English people over there in England. Brutal times, my friends, they were. Wow, people, this is like I'm walking here on the steps of history here, you know. This was the home of Oliver Plunkett. This is where he was born, my friends, on the 1st of July, the 1st of November 1625, isn't that right? 400 years ago. Look at this. There was more stairs leading up. You know, as you can see, people, the roof is gone and all the different floors are all gone. And this was the church. Right, people, I just can't believe it. I'm so chuffed. I'm really so chuffed that I found the birthplace of Oliver Plunkett, right? It's still standing there, okay, without the roof and the floors in it. But look, it's still standing. Amazing, my friends. So listen, if you want to check out here, it's called Loughcrew Estate or something. I'll put it up. I'll put it up on the video, right? And it's €4 if you want to come in and walk around the gardens here, right? I'll probably come back over here again, people, and make a video about here, right? Listen, people, I'm seriously chuffed that I'm after finding the birthplace of Oliver Plunkett. Still here. That is amazing. That's amazing, my friends, right? So what I'm going to do now, people, is I'm going to drive cross country from here to Dundalk, right? And show you again the place that Oliver Plunkett, or Saint Oliver Plunkett, was taken to, the underground jail, right? And there was a tunnel across the street that led to the courthouse, right? I'm going to bring you up there. I'm going to go up there, people. Actually, people, I'm going to do a Star Trek here. Beam me up, Scotty, and I'm going to teleport to Dundalk, right? So stay tuned, my friends. Stay tuned. This teleportation is very, very quick, people. Whew. Right, people. Whew. That teleportation business, people, is knocks a lot of energy out of you, right? But it's very, very fast. You should try it someday. It saves you a fortune on petrol. Right, people. I'm back up here now in the town of Dundalk, on the northern end of County Louth, the smallest county in Ireland, right? And I'm here beside this fantastic mural of Oliver Plunkett, or Saint Oliver Plunkett, right? This painting was done by an Italian artist, right? I forget his name. If I think about it, I'll put it up in the video, right? Now, why am I standing here? Because, people, this chemist here, right, underneath the grounds of that chemist there, people, is the jail in which they brought Oliver Plunkett to, right, underneath the ground. It's still there, right, on false jumped up charges, right, by that, if you pardon my French, that dickhead, or should I say prick, Titus Otis, right? That's my language, my friends. That's Don's language, right? An ultimate dickhead, if ever there was one, right? Brought that man up here into a jail underneath this chemist that's still there. And there was a tunnel going underneath that road, across the road to the courthouse over there, right? But of course, the whole court case was a charade, because the local people wouldn't, what would you call it, go along with the whole thing, right? So yeah, people, this county, people, County Louth, the smallest county in Ireland, played a very significant part in the life of Oliver Plunkett, or Saint Oliver Plunkett, after he came back from Rome, right? Because he based himself in Ardpatrick, which is over close to Louth Village, which is also here in County Louth, right? So yeah, people, this is where they brought him, okay, first. And the jail is still underneath that chemist shop, right? And he was taken in a tunnel across the road to a courthouse on the far side, right? Of course, the whole trial fell apart, right? And then, of course, they brought him to London, and you know what happened to the poor man in London, right? Hung, drawn, and quartered. Wow, a terrible death, my friends. Right. So now, people, I'm going to go for a cup of coffee here, right? And I think what I'll do is I'll do a Star Trek Beam Me Up Scotty again, and I'll teleport myself outside St. Peter's Church on West Street, people, and we'll go into the church and I'll show you Oliver Plunkett's head, okay? So stay tuned, my friends. Hello, people. I had a bit of a malfunction there on the teleportation thing. Joking, of course. No, it was late in leaving Dundalk. So it's 4 days later, and I'm now in the town of Drogheda, which is a town in the south side of the smallest county in Ireland, in County Louth, right? And if you hear the noise behind me here, behind me is West Street, and there's a 10k road race on, right? So I hope I can get over here to St. Peter's Church behind me here to show you the head of St. Oliver Plunkett. Okay, so stay tuned, my friends. Right, people, so as you can see behind me here is St. Peter's Church, right? I think this is the biggest church in the town of Drogheda, right? So let's go in, people, and we'll have a look at the resting place of St. Oliver Plunkett. Okay? Right, people, there's a little bit of disappointing news here. Because of the commemoration taking place on the 1st of November this year, right, 400th anniversary of the birth of St. Oliver Plunkett and 50 years of the canonisation of a sainthood, right? So they're doing restoration where they normally keep his head, right? But his head is behind me here, but it's up high so you can't really see it, right? So I'll do my best to show you where he is now, right? Right, people, that's where his head is now. Normally, you can actually see his whole skull. You know what I mean? Because, as I said here, they're doing renovation work. And I'll try and go back over here, people, and lift the GoPro if I can over. See, it's all sealed off to show you the prison door in which he was kept in London. Okay, so stay tuned, my friends. Right, people, I'm sorry, but I'm disappointed that, look, you see this here, you can't go in there because they're renovating it, right? But as I said to you, the door of his prison cell is here. The door that is in Newgate prison in London is here as well. So, yeah, I just a bit disappointed, you know. But so this is the resting place really of the man's head, okay? So people, now I'm going to go over to the Barbican Centre, hopefully that's open, right? And show you the 24 prints from the book by Fintan Tracey, okay? So stay tuned, my friends, stay tuned. I know something that's amazing here. I'll just sit down here and tell you this little story here. I'm just after meeting a man there, right? An Irish man, right? And I just got talking to him there. And he said he comes in here frequently. He lives in Athlone, right? And he told me that he was a chronic gambler. He's never drank in his life, never touched drugs, nothing, but was a chronic gambler. He said that he said he was well off, right? But gambled everything, right? And he says he was in a desperate state. And he has come in here and he's prayed to Oliver Plunkett. And he maintains that he's a great saint and that he's helped him immensely, right? And he said that he has a brother who is also a serious gambler and who was a millionaire. And at the present moment in time, he's after losing everything through gambling. And he's trying to get him to come in here to the church here in Drogheda here, where Oliver Plunkett is. He swears by it. I say fair play to him. If that's how he feels, I say fair play to him. If it's helping him, fair play to him. But there's a story, people. Loads of people claim that miracles have happened by praying to this man here, St. Oliver Plunkett. Right, people, I'm going to head over now to the Barbican on William Street to show you these 24 prints from the book that Fintan Tracey produced here, right? Okay, take care, my friends. Keep and stay tuned, right? Right, people, I'm here now in the Barbican Centre on William Street here in Drogheda, right? Not too far from St. Peter's Church, right? And I think that painting there of Oliver Plunkett, it is. That's a painting there from Fintan Tracey, right? He's a fabulous painter, my friends. That's excellent. See that there?
Yeah, I think it's done. Is it coming into the race?
Right, people, I'm sorry about the noise here because they're using here the Barbican Centre for the 10k race, after the 10k race for people. So if you hear a lot of noise here, it's because of the race, right? Now, people, I'm just showing you here on the wall opposite the prints done by Fintan Tracey from his book, The Captain and the Saint, right? Let's have a look at these people on the wall here, okay? So look, here's a little story about the Captain and the Saint, the story of St. Oliver Plunkett, right? Now look at this. This is Captain Brown in disguise, right? Look at this. Bandits in the woods. The port at Ringsend, right, in Dublin. That's obviously when he came back from Rome. And a new school in the town of Drogheda, okay? The sailing of St. Francis to Ostend, from Waterford to Ostend, right? And that's to do with peace talks, a big storm at sea on his way to Rome, right, to Ostend. And the captain is given a horse, right, to go around the country on the reforms, right? Pirates coming to attack. Right, people, as you can see, those are the 24 prints painted by Fintan Tracey, right? They are exceptional, right? As I said to you, he's a gifted artist. Some people might say even God gifted, right? But he's a gifted artist, people, for sure. I can paint, but I mean, I can paint a fence or paint a room, right? I can't draw and I can't paint. I don't have that kind of talent that this man has. Excellent, I have to say. Check out his book, people. The Captain and the Saint, right? And yeah, there's people just around me here. It's a great little read, my friends. Beautifully illustrated. Right, people. So that's it. That's the video. I actually enjoyed making this video, right? About Oliver Plunkett. I enjoyed it, right? Immensely, actually. And I want a big thank you to Fintan Tracey for his book and for the way he wrote the book, because it brought the character and personality of Oliver Plunkett alive to me, right? So if you want to buy the book, people, you can purchase it in St. Peter's Church in Drogheda, €10, or you can go on to, I'll put it up on the video here again, Fintan's Fine Art at gmail.com, okay? Right, people, I'll see you outside, okay? Right, people. So that's the Barbican Centre over here, St. Peter's Parish Centre, right? On William Street, okay? Not too far from St. Peter's Church. Check it out, my friends, okay? I'll just finish with another little story there. Been in there in St. Peter's Church. Another man there, and he was from Mallow in Cork, right? Now, he seemed to me a fairly well-educated type man, right? And he was on about, like, he knew an awful lot about Ireland before 1922 and all that. He knew all about the situation in Ireland with the Catholic faith and Protestantism and all of that, right? But I was saying to him, look, I said, I'm not really into the whole thing. I told him the story with a man that I just met in the church who had a gambling addiction, and praised Oliver Plunkett, and he reckons it was the best thing that ever happened to him, that he's a reformed man, right? And I was saying to this man from Mallow and Cork, I don't believe in all that, right? And he said, he wasn't, it was very good, this answer. He kind of said that he prays to another, I can't think the name of the Irish saint that he prays to, right? And he says, when you have troubles, he says, and he says, whether it's financial or something, he says, it's like, he says, you're unburdening your troubles. That's what you're doing, he says, right? And he, again, as well, believes that he's got help from praying to a saint, okay? So listen, people, you might think this may be the road to Damascus moment, right? Or my conversion back into the Catholic Church or Christianity, but it's not, right? Listen, people, as I said at the very beginning of this video, you have as much chance of getting me back into any form of religion as you would have making me eat a corned beef sandwich, people, right? Now, you may call me ignorant for that and arrogant, whatever the hell it is, but if you're a Christian, a true Christian, you won't point the finger and judge me and pontificate, right? Because if you are a true Christian, you will know the words of JC himself when he said, "Be careful how you judge others, for I will judge you as harshly as you judge them." And on that note, my friends, I hope you've enjoyed this video. I'm disappointed about that I couldn't really see his head in St. Peter's Church and show you the prison door, right? But anyway, people, that's it, my friends. I hope you've enjoyed it. If you enjoyed it, people, please press the like button. And if you're new to the channel, please press subscribe. It's free. And as usual, my friends, I have absolutely no idea of where my next video is going to come from, but it's going to come from somewhere. So stay tuned, my friends. Take care and keep safe all the way from Drogheda here in Ireland. Take care, my friends. Bye.